Neil deGrasse Tyson, hello.
Well, thanks for having me.
A pleasure.
Yeah.
We're here to talk about your book, among many other things.
Which I can't find it.
It's right there, just
books.
next to you, yeah.
I can't find it.
In the wall of it.
Oh, it just accidentally popped out.
Letters from an Astrophysicist.
Letters, yeah.
What's your favourite letter in that book?
I have several, but it's like picking your children, I think the most complete pairing of a letter to me and my reply is from a Jewish woman who is raising her 10-year-old son, taking him to Hebrew school so that he will learn the traditions of his religion and where he came from. And one day he came home. Oh, by the way, he's on the autism spectrum. He came home and said, God isn't real, and Bible stories just can't possibly be true. And she asked, well, where did you get these ideas? And he said, Cosmos. So as host of this multi-part series, I ask myself, should I read any further in this letter? Because this can't possibly end well.
Yeah.
Their son, the atheist. So she goes on and says she respects her son. And she doesn't want to force him to believe something that might not be true. And she knows that he respects me, and she thanks me for that. Here's a woman who is otherwise a devout Jewish mother who is opening a door for conversation. And not many people do that, especially not today, with the tribalized forces that operate on us all. You get the people whose views align with yours, and anyone who doesn't, then you fight them. You don't just have a conversation with them. That would be too civil, all right? And so, as you know, the social media and internet conduct is anything but civil. So this was, I thought, a remarkable overture to explore what I might have to say about this situation. So she asked. It took me a year to reply, because there's a lot of elements of this. First, she's a mother. She's Jewish. I'm not Jewish. I'm not a mother. 10-year-old son. I did have a 10-year-old son. He's grown up now. Taking him to Hebrew school. I never took my kids to Hebrew school. Comes back an atheist. Plus he's on the spectrum. What should she do? She said she wants to be a good mother. Can God and science coexist? Was one of the questions. And how might she handle her son going forward? It took me a year to reply. Had to get all the moving parts in line. And I gave, I think, my deepest reply I've ever given to anyone on any subject. And that's in the book. I'm not going to tell you, you have to go get the book.
Sales pitch.
So there's that one.
Yeah.
But there's some fun letters. I'm implicated in the demotion of Pluto. All right. I was an accessory.
That hurt you?
No. I was an accessory to the demotion. But anyone who's 10 years old or 11 at the time would have freshly memorized the sequence of planets in order from the sun. And then out comes the demotion of Pluto, and they get angry. So I got angry letters from children after that, because I got blamed.
Yeah,
and one of them is in here, and we have it in facsimile, so you get to see the misspellings and the, they can't keep a straight line. And my favorite line is the last line after this girl chastises me for demoting Pluto, which means some people no longer have a favorite planet. She said, please write back, but not in script, because I don't know how to read script.
Let's talk about truth then. Do you think that truth is a constant, or that truth is derived from consensus?
So the way people use the word truth, in my own thinkings, I found 3 truths that pervade modern times. So one of them I call a personal truth. These are what people say is true, and no one can take it away from you because you feel that it's true. It's in you. And most religious truths are of this kind. So the curious thing about a personal truth is you generally cannot convince someone else of that same personal truth without some very strong act of persuasion, or in the limit, threat of force or harm. And this is the foundation of every religious war that's ever been fought. There are two different belief systems, and one wants the other to have their belief system. And we can say that there's politics behind it or resources, but on the surface of it, you have warring religions. And this has marked the history of civilization. So it's hard to make laws based on personal truths if you live in a world that has a pluralistic representation of religions. So that's just a fact about that. Another kind of truth is where if you repeat yourself a lot in front of an audience, then the audience just begins to believe it. It doesn't matter if it is objectively true. You just say it. And we have a way, it's a shortcoming of the human sensory system, where if something repeats, you're more likely to think that it's real or that it's true than if it does not repeat. So I call these political truths. These are just things that you're exposed to, and you're exposed to enough of it, you walk away saying, this is the new truth. A third kind of truth is objective truth. This is what's true no matter who you are or what you believe. And the methods and tools of science are exquisitely tuned to extract from nature that which is objectively true. So if you're going to make laws, it might be wise to base laws on what is objectively true, because what is objectively true is true whether or not you believe in it. So those truths established by the methods and tools of science don't change once they're experimentally verified. They remain true, and it's an understanding of the universe that we carry forward. It's why planes fly. It's why smartphones communicate with satellites and tell you where grandma's house is when you pull out a map. So objective truths are the foundations of what today we call modern civilization.
How dangerous then do you think it is when our political leaders have such flexible relationships with the truth?
Well, so I'm not worried about leaders as much as other people are. As an educator, I think more about the electorate. So if you're an electorate who can put someone into office who doesn't really think much about what is true, or embraces political truths rather than objective truths, then that tells me that you feel the same way because you voted for the person. So all this attention that's given to our leaders, I think, is misdirected at some level. It should be directed back to your citizenry if you're concerned about whether truth pervades politics. Now, I don't know that truth has ever pervaded politics. I don't know. Is it, maybe it's at a different level now than before, but I think on scales of honesty, I don't think politicians were ever at the top of that list, whether or not we're describing them in modern times or in early times. Yeah, I worry about the educational system where people don't understand what is objectively true and what is not.
And to be able to identify
And be able to
themselves.
identify it. And what is science and how and why it works. These are not, I don't think they're in the educational system, because if they were, you would come out and you would never be susceptible to claims of a flat earth, for example. That would just not even be on the table. Yet there's the rise of flat earthers out there. And I semi-joke and I'm semi-serious that the rise of flat earthers is a result of two things. One, that they live in a country that protects free speech, and two, that it's evidence of a failed educational system.
Have they ever seen a lunar eclipse?
I know.
But the reason why I ask about truth is because I feel like there's a political crisis going on that we face that is extraordinarily dangerous, the one that's going on with our climate, our environment, our ecology, and yet we have some people who deem it appropriate to reject it, deny it, and that has a visible consequence on the electorate.
Yes. Science denial. I've never seen that at such a level before, especially where it poses an existential threat to our civilization. And so then that's dangerous. Right. Science ignorance equals danger when that ignorance is about something that affects the future of all of us. And if you have the power of influence over to where you can accelerate solutions or delay solutions, I don't know how that will end. And I don't have enough time to wait around for, I spoke of training the electorate. I don't have enough time to wait around for the next generation to get old enough to become leaders to fix these problems. Somewhere in there, the current leaders have to fix it. Because if they don't, as they say, we're not being good shepherds of this earth that we have borrowed from generations yet to come.
And that's it, isn't it? Because young people are particularly enthused about this issue, and it feels like older people, in some cases, don't seem to be engaging with it seriously.
Yeah, the old people are in charge. They wield resources. They have all the political power. So social media has empowered those that previously didn't have a voice. The young generation who commands social media, it's conceived almost for them, if not by them. And so that allows them to rise up and have some influence on the power structure. But ultimately, the power structure is going to have to, I think, change from within. And like I said, I don't know where this is going to go. The idea that scientists are somehow conspiring to not tell the truth about the human role in climate change. Have you ever been to a scientific conference? First, we don't know how to conspire. We're always disagreeing, particularly on the frontier of research. And, if we had boxing gloves, you'd see fistfights in the conferences. So when scientists actually agree, oh my gosh, it's time to sit up straight and say, tell me again what you guys found. What did you learn? How did you figure this out? Oh my gosh. And I don't see people reacting that way as they should.
Worrying. I have a present for you here.
A present?
A present. And it's probably going to enrage some flat earthers as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because it has a circular globe. Spherical globe.
Oh, spherical Earth. Yes.
Spherical Earth, I should say.
Very nice. What's interesting is they're calling this 3D solar system, which are just balls. Right? I mean, is there something special about
I don't know. I don't think so. They glow in the dark, maybe?
It's not like it's a movie that's in 3D, that's usually 2D.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Life is 3D, okay? We are three-dimensional here, all right? So I don't know what this is trying to say here.
Well, interesting enough, I was wondering if you'd be able to give me a brief introduction to our solar system with said props.
Oh, sure. Let me see what we have in here.
You almost certainly have something to say interesting to say about the subject, given your past form.
Oh, it has the labels?
Exceptional.
Okay. That's good. So how many objects do we have here? Oh, so
is Pluto there?
I don't see the sun, and it looks like Pluto is here.
They look out of
yeah, they're not to scale. Okay. This is obviously Jupiter, and this would be Saturn, but I don't see a ring. That's fine. And then Uranus and Neptune. This is obviously Earth, and Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, and I think that's Pluto. They're putting Pluto in there. That's actually about the right size of Pluto, physically relative to Earth. But Earth is way smaller than this relative to Jupiter. Earth would be about this size relative to Jupiter. So it's a very awkward collection of objects, given the range and size that they come.
Yes.
What they don't show is that Earth's moon is bigger than Pluto. If you're going to put Pluto in this group, you should put Earth's moon, but they haven't.
I feel like there'd be production costs there, because when you're looking at the moons of Jupiter.
Exactly. They're big moons of Jupiter and big moons of Saturn. There's 6 moons in the solar system, bigger than Pluto. So you have to have 6 more objects if this is a size ranking here. So this clearly betrays the Pluto bias of the manufacturers.
Still grinding that political axe. Okay, very good. Why is it that you think human beings are so fixated by space and our interest in it?
So I have an unverified hypothesis, if I may share it with you.
I'd love you to.
Okay. So have you looked at most animals, most mammals, but I think even most animals of any kind? When they go to sleep, they sleep with their stomach down. Okay? That's just what it is. They don't sleep like with their legs sticking up like this. Humans are entirely comfortable sleeping on our backs. No hesitation to do so. And we sleep at night. So what happens if you wake up at night? The sky is above you. Oh my gosh, this was here over there last night and now it's moved a little bit. Oh, the moon is a different phase. And all of a sudden, the nighttime, the time when you're dreaming, is now infused with exposure to the night sky. Has a turtle ever looked up at the night sky? Turtles can't just, let me just go on my back for a minute and look. I don't know that this is a thing. So I wonder if our fascination with the night sky goes very deep. And it's an evolutionary curiosity with having awakened in the middle of the night. And where you are forced to then drink in the universe, whatever that is. So, yeah, I think we've all looked up. Not only that, most people who have gods, God or gods as part of their traditions, is the God living in the ground? No, they're up above in the sky. Now, animist religions, there's a spirit God in everything. There's one of the brook, the tree, the wind. So that's more sort of infusing all of nature with divinity. But certainly monotheistic traditions, even many pagan traditions, God is in the sky. So as some inaccessible place, so therefore it must be the repository of the gods. Now that we've pierced space, we've been to the moon and back, and if we don't go to Mars, it's not because nobody thinks we can. It's because the motivation or the money isn't there. So that's a certain achievement that we can and should be proud of. But for some people, I think it sort of lessens the mystery and majesty of space when we used to be sort of landlocked on Earth's surface with no known access to the great beyond. So, but I think we all have spent time looking up at some point in our lives and wondered, what is my place in the universe? How did it all begin? And how will it all end?
What is it, our place in the universe?
Well, we live in this universe of ingredients that have been manufactured in the cores of stars. Stars of very high mass that have exploded on death, scattering their enrichment across the galaxy. And that's just the kind of enrichment that you need to make things like planets. Planets are not made of what stars are made of. They're made of these extra ingredients that stars manufactured on their own. And like silicon and oxygen and nitrogen and iron and all these other ingredients that you find in life that are the foundations of organic chemistry. We now have those available to make planets and people and petunias. So I think our place in the universe is realizing that not only are we in the universe, but the universe is in us. And that, I think, delivers a deep sense of participation and belonging that many people, I think, don't find, or they're still in search of. But we got some good answers in astrophysics, and that's among them.
It's quite beautiful. You've given me a bit of a lesson there, so I wondered if I might be able to now flip the roles a little bit and ask you some questions. Are you familiar with the GCSE?
GCSE.
It's basically the UK equivalent of a high school test paper.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
No, I'm not familiar with it. Okay.
I've got some physics questions here.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
And I wondered if I might be able to quiz you a little bit.
Sure.
Describe what is meant by red shift.
A red shift. Yeah, this is the observed recession of galaxies in the universe where their spectrum has shifted from the blue side to the red side, manifested by an increase in the length of the wavelength of light that you measure.
Ding. Correct.
Oh, thank you for telling me that's the correct answer.
I've got them written down here.
I don't know what I would have done if that was not a correct answer, according to your
GCSE.
What? GCSE, okay.
Please. Explain how redshift provides evidence for the Big Bang Theory.
All of the objects, the distant objects, are receding from us in a way that the more distant the object is, the faster it's receding from us. And so you say, what happens if I turn the clock back? You will learn that all objects in the universe were in the same place at the same time, nearly 14 billion years ago. So the expansion signature is the signature of an explosion, and hence the origin of the concept of the Big Bang. This is on a physics test?
Yeah.
This is good astrophysics there.
The cosmic.
Well, you have to tell me that I'm correct.
You're correct.
Thank you. Okay.
The Cosmic Background Explorer satellite observed CMB radiation from 1989 to 1993. What does the M in CMB radiation stand for?
Microwave.
Yes.
Yeah. So the signature of the Big Bang that persists to this day has redshifted to become microwaves, and so to see it, you need microwave telescopes in order to detect it.
Extra marks for demonstrating your working there.
Okay.
Describe in detail how you would measure the personal power of a student of known weight. In your description, you should state what apparatus you would use, what measurements you would make, and how you would use these measurements to calculate the student's power.
I don't even understand the question.
Yeah, I think that's I don't really understand that question either. That's
Power
fair cop.
What is their power?
The answer is the apparatus you would use would be a stopwatch, stop clock, timer, a meter stick, rule, and the height of the staircase, or something like that. Bizarre. I don't understand how that's physics.
Yes, power is if you exert a force over a distance, and then there is work that you exert, and then there's the rate at which you do that. Then that's why you need the stopwatch. But that just power as a thing, the question is abstracted.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So okay.
This one is far less abstracted, and it'll be the last one, and we'll let you go. A moving train has a kinetic energy of 8.1 times 106 joules. The train makes an emergency stop.
Wait. 8.1 times 10 to the 6th.
Yes.
To the 6th power.
It says 106J, so 106 joules.
No, it's almost certainly.
Okay,
10
sure.
To the 6.
You know more than I do.
Yeah.
The train makes an emergency stop. It decelerates to rest in a distance of 270 meters. Calculate the average friction force provided by the brakes.
Yeah. So I can't do the numbers in my head, but the
Equation.
The equation. Oh yeah, yeah. So if it's going at a particular speed and then it's not going at any speed at all over a certain amount of time and a certain distance, then there's a force that had to be invoked to slow it down and stop it. And that force is the force of friction with the brakes. But it's also the rolling friction. They didn't say this. There's also the rolling friction of the wheels. So, for example, if the train just stopped its engines and coasted and didn't put on its brakes, it would still come to a stop. It would just take longer. Okay, so the forces operating to slow down the train will be not only the brakes that are applied, but also sort of the rolling friction of all the wheels of all the train cars that are going. So,
I reckon that's a pass. Neil deGrasse Tyson.
I can go on to uni.
You can go to uni.
Thank you.
You've got in.
Thank you.